We get closer and closer, of course, to seeing the proceedings of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial kicking off again just after 10 o'clock. But state witness police officer Mandla Masondo, called to testify in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, told the court yesterday that the gun found in the house of accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, in 2015 was not linked to Meyiwa's case. Masondo says he was investigating a different case that involved Mncube. He says they arrested Mncube at his home in Cleveland in February 2015. This is for possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition. This is what happened in the court yesterday.
Did this firearm that was found in the possession of the accused person have anything to do with this Foslorus case?
You want him to answer that question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
My lord, there's nothing depicted by the firearm that was recovered on this case. Should it have been, definitely I think I was going to deal with it at that time. Others.
What you saying? Nothing.
Well, then, defense lawyer Charles Mnisi's cross-examination questioned Masondo about his conduct during the investigation.
He'll tell this court that, as we have correctly mentioned, that he was very cooperative. He indeed had no choice but to cooperate with you because you're spitting venom.
Aye, that's a new thing. Spitting venom.
So sure, get look of me.
How can I spit venom on a cooperative somebody?
Now, as a result of the fact that you're spitting venom in order to secure or to save himself from the wrath that he would have encountered, he said things that you wanted him to say.
It's up to him, but I believe what he was telling me, because we were just talking.
Yes.
We were not fighting. No one was spitting venom. We were talking.
Yeah, well, let's unpack this further. And for that, I'm joined by legal analyst Mr. Elton Hart on Teams. Mr. Hart, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you watched some of the proceedings yesterday in the High Court in Pretoria. What do you make of what we've heard from Sergeant Mandla Masondo, particularly the conversation around this firearm that was found in his home in 2015 and how the police officers, Masondo themselves, were investigating a different matter of a shooting of a taxi boss? Are we seeing here possibly the state struggling to link the accused to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa?
No, indeed, if one looks at that firearm that was sort of in question in yesterday's examination in chief and cross-examination, there is no links. It's not the firearm that actually led to the death of Senzo Meyiwa. So for me, the state even calling Mabaso to come and testify, Sergeant Mabaso to come and testify pertaining to that specific pistol or firearm that was found in possession of accused number 3. It's irrelevant to this case. Yes, he was not allowed to have a firearm because he doesn't have a license. They were just supposed to open a different docket for Alexandra case number and actually send it to either Randburg court or because that accused number 3 is supposed to face and sing to the charges that is pertaining to that case number differently from what is happening to the Foslorus case number. So yeah, for me, bringing that information in here is like how Mnisi is saying that Mabaso is trying to spit venom to create a specific image of accused number 3, that he is a gun-wielding thug running around the shouting, shooting people. So that for me, it was sort of introducing, it speaks to the character of accused number 3, and he has not dropped his shield to say, I'm a that good person, I'm not a criminal, I'm not a thug, I'm not that. So why would he even introduce it? For me, that linking, I see the state is now stepping into mud, and they sort of struggling to actually pinpointing where's the murder weapon, who has it, and actually linking the accused persons.
Yeah, there is of course the link that had been made yesterday that it was in the cell phone records of accused number 3 that link possibly could be found, and of course more evidence will be coming forward. But what do you make of the assertion that it might then be relevant to bring the accused onto the stand himself, Mthobisi Mncube, accused number 3, who was arrested in Cleveland in 2015 with that firearm that we now know is not linked to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa? What do you make of what could happen if he does take the stand, and really what does that mean for the legal precedence then of this case?
I don't even think that they can actually find him guilty because he's not being charged for being in possession of a firearm that is linked to Senzo Meyiwa. If they go and they say the Alexandra case number, they're going to start proceedings on that. He can plead on that, and then they can actually hold him account for being in possession of a firearm and ammunition. That is something different from the Senzo Meyiwa trial in itself. And I would not, if I'm Mncube's legal representative, which is now Mnisi, I would not call him to come and testify pertaining to the possession of the firearm. I would let him testify pertaining to the alleged offense that happened, or the offense that happened on 26 October 2014 that led to the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. He must bring evidence that is relevant there. If the state wants to prosecute him on the possession of the firearm, that's a different docket altogether, different from this thing. So they must deal with it in a different forum or a different court, but not in this matter. Don't deal with, because he's not being charged for that at this point in time. If they charge him, they will bring him to another court where he's not joined with this, because this would be then a misjoinder if one has to look at how they're trying to introduce evidence and sort of paint a picture of accused number 3 as this gun-wielding person carrying guns and going around committing crimes.
Yeah, I think obviously we're starting to see somewhat of a picture forming here, but really still very scattered information as to what would have happened to Senzo Meyiwa on that fateful day in October 2014. But who would then, if you were in that courtroom yourself, perhaps speaking on behalf of the state or the defense, who would you want to see on taking the stand next?
As I said at the beginning, I thought right from the beginning the state was supposed to charge the 7 people that was in the house, including these 5 people, because we've seen that somehow the cell phone linking showed that they had communication. The content of this communication is maybe in question as to what, because people are allowed to speak to one another at any given time. Have them all there and let them answer. Then I think we would have gotten closer to the answer quickly. By now, dividing, say, 5 that side and 7 that side. Because if these 5 people are sort of found not guilty, I don't think the other 7 will answer. But Kelly Kumalo must also come and testify, or she must be or she must be charged with what happened in that house. That's my. But not just Kelly Kumalo. I think the 7, for me, they were supposed to be charged from the get-go. The state would have gotten closer to the answers very quickly.
Okay, let's move towards wrapping it up. I think what we have seen, of course, is perhaps a trial that now that it has started moving quite quickly. I mean, does that restore your confidence or give confidence, particularly for the viewer, in the work of how Judge Tamakwatleng is presiding over the matter, considering the speed at which we are moving?
Now it helps a lot because there's a court that's dedicated to this case specifically, and Judge Rata is only dealing with this case, where Judge Maumela also had other cases on his roll. And he also did a lot of, Judge Maumela, we should not discredit him because he did a lot of the hard yards, because these people that is testifying now already testified, so we could easily suss out what was irrelevant information, so they were sticking to relevant portions of so that first run, if one can say it was a test run of this trial, helped a lot in actually expediting the trial. And because we have a dedicated courtroom, it sort of gives the viewers that we get to tangible. But now the strategy of the state of how they're calling witnesses is now again a different strategy that they're trying to use. But I cannot see concrete. Yes, there's linking, but I can't see concretely beyond reasonable doubt that we can say out and out the 5 that's in the box was responsible for Senzo Meyiwa, letting alone not dealing with the other 7 that was in the house. There must be something more coming for the state to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these people committed the crime. and in collusion with the 7 in the house,
Oh, that's interesting.
or other way around.
Yeah, let's leave it there, Elton. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Elton Hart, of course, is a legal analyst, giving us his view on how the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial is unfolding, particularly after testimony that we heard yesterday. We know that today a new witness is set to be called to the stand.